Imagine waking up tomorrow. No Google. No YouTube. No WhatsApp. No TikTok. No online banking. No Netflix. No cloud storage. No AI. No ChatGPT. Your smartphone would instantly become little more than an expensive camera. Your business might stop. Schools would struggle. Hospitals would lose access to critical data. Flights could be delayed. Millions of people wouldn't even be able to work. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine life without the internet. But here's something even more surprising. The internet wasn't created by a billionaire. It wasn't invented by Apple. Or Microsoft. Or Google. In fact, it wasn't even built for ordinary people. It began as a military research project during one of the most dangerous periods in human history. Its original goal wasn't social media. It wasn't online shopping. And it definitely wasn't streaming videos. It was simply trying to solve one frustrating problem. How can one computer communicate with another? That simple question sparked one of the greatest technological revolutions in human history. In today's video, we'll uncover the incredible story of how the internet was born, the brilliant engineers who built it, the unexpected challenges they faced, and why one small experiment eventually connected billions of people around the world. This isn't just the story of technology. It's the story of an idea that changed civilization forever. Let's begin. Today, sending a file across the world takes only seconds. You click send. And moments later, someone thousands of miles away receives it. Simple. But rewind to the early 1960s. The world looked completely different. Computers weren't sitting on office desks. They weren't in classrooms. And they certainly weren't in people's pockets. A single computer could fill an entire room. These massive machines cost millions of dollars and consumed enormous amounts of electricity. Only governments, universities, and a handful of large companies could afford them. Even worse, every computer was isolated. Imagine owning a phone that could never call another phone. That's exactly how early computers worked. They performed calculations, stored information, printed reports, but they couldn't easily communicate with one another. Suppose a scientist in New York wanted to use a computer in California. Today, they would simply connect remotely. Back then, they often had to board an airplane. Yes, flying across the country could actually be easier than trying to connect two computers electronically. If someone wanted to share data, they physically carried magnetic tapes or stacks of punch cards. Imagine carrying your entire hard drive in a suitcase just to transfer one file. That's how difficult digital communication once was. Telephone lines existed. Modems had already been invented. But they were painfully slow, expensive, and unreliable. Even if two computers were connected, there was another problem. Most computers spoke completely different languages. They couldn't understand each other. It was like asking someone who only speaks Arabic to have a conversation with someone who only speaks Japanese. Without a common language, communication simply wasn't possible. Scientists knew this problem had to be solved. But no one knew exactly how. Then, an unexpected organization decided to take on the challenge. To understand why the internet exists, we first need to understand the Cold War. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union became rivals. Both nations competed in science, technology, and military power. When the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik satellite into space in 1957, it shocked the United States. America suddenly realized it was falling behind in advanced technology. In response, the US government created a new organization, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as ARPA. Its mission was simple: support bold scientific research that could keep America ahead technologically. ARPA wasn't a huge organization. It didn't employ thousands of engineers. Instead, It funded brilliant researchers working at universities and laboratories across the country. One challenge quickly caught their attention. Researchers were using expensive computers located in different cities. Each computer worked independently. Resources were being wasted because scientists couldn't easily share computing power or information. ARPA wondered, what if all these computers could communicate? That single question would change history forever. In the late 1960s, ARPA launched an experimental project. Its name was ARPANET. At first, it connected only a handful of research institutions in the United States. There were no websites, no search engines, no videos, no online games, not even email. The network's purpose was much simpler. Researchers wanted to access powerful computers without traveling long distances. It sounds ordinary today. But back then, it was revolutionary. Instead of moving people to computers, they wanted computers to communicate with each other. Lawrence Roberts, who managed the ARPANET project, assembled an extraordinary team of engineers and scientists. They didn't work alone. Ideas came from researchers across the United States, the United Kingdom, and later France. Some of the greatest technological breakthroughs happened not because of one genius, but because many brilliant minds worked toward the same goal. ARPANET became proof of that idea. The early network wasn't perfect. Connections often failed. Hardware was unreliable. Software crashed. Many researchers weren't even sure what the network should be used for. But something fascinating happened. Instead of waiting for instructions, users began inventing their own applications. Sometimes the most important inventions aren't planned. They're discovered. One unexpected invention would soon become the Internet's first killer application. Electronic mail. Better known today as email. At first, ARPANET was just a small experimental network connecting a few universities. But within a few years, it would begin spreading across America. New organizations wanted access. Researchers demanded connections. And engineers faced an even bigger challenge. How could thousands, and eventually millions, of completely different computers communicate as one global network? That challenge would lead to one of the most important inventions in computing history. We discovered how computers once existed as isolated machines, unable to communicate with one another. We explored the Cold War, the creation of ARPA, and the birth of ARPANET, the experimental network that would eventually become today's Internet. But ARPANET had a major limitation. It was designed for only a small group of researchers. The real challenge was much bigger. How do you connect thousands of different computers made by different manufacturers, across different countries, into one universal network? That challenge would require one of the greatest engineering breakthroughs of the 20th century. Imagine visiting a meeting where everyone speaks a different language. One person speaks English. Another speaks Chinese. Another speaks Arabic. Another speaks French. Without a translator, communication quickly breaks down. The same problem existed with computers in the 1970s. Every manufacturer built machines differently. Each computer had its own operating system, its own hardware, its own communication methods. Even if two computers were physically connected, they often couldn't understand each other. The growing network desperately needed a common language. This challenge inspired two computer scientists whose names every technology enthusiast should know: Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn. Instead of designing a network for one type of computer, they imagined something much more ambitious. A system where any computer could communicate with any other computer, regardless of who built it. Their solution became known as TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. Think of TCP/IP as the universal language of the Internet. It doesn't matter whether you're using Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, or an iPhone, because every modern device follows the same communication rules. That simple idea changed everything. Instead of building one giant computer network, Engineers could connect many smaller networks together. This became known as the Internet, literally, a network of networks. As ARPANET grew, something unexpected happened. Researchers outside the military began noticing its incredible advantages. Scientists connected to ARPANET could share ideas faster, collaborate on research, access powerful computers remotely, exchange information in ways that had never been possible before. Universities that weren't connected quickly realized they were being left behind. Demand exploded. Unfortunately, connecting every university wasn't easy. ARPA mainly funded military research projects. Many universities simply didn't qualify. A group of computer scientists, led by Lawrence Landweber, believed there had to be a better solution. In 1979, they proposed building a new academic network. Its name was CSNET, the Computer Science Network. The goal was simple: give universities across America access to modern networking technology, even if they weren't funded by the military. The first proposal failed. Funding was rejected. Many great ideas face rejection before they succeed. Instead of giving up, the team improved the design. Vinton Cerf suggested something brilliant. Instead of creating an entirely separate network, why not make CSNET use the same internet protocols as ARPANET? That decision changed history. Rather than building competing systems, researchers built one expanding community. Different organizations, different funding, different purposes, one common language. The National Science Foundation eventually approved the project and invested millions of dollars. By 1982, SNET was operating successfully. Thousands of researchers who had never been connected before could now exchange information electronically. When ARPANET was first created, most people assumed its main purpose would be sharing expensive computers. But users had a different idea. Instead of simply accessing remote machines, they started sending messages to one another. Those messages eventually became email. Ironically, the feature that transformed networking wasn't part of the original plan. It emerged naturally because people discovered a better use for the technology. Within a short time, email became the most popular service on the network. Researchers could ask questions, share discoveries, exchange files, work together without waiting days or weeks for traditional mail. The internet was slowly changing from a computing system into a communication system. That transformation would eventually reshape business, education, government, and everyday life. The success of CSNET didn't stop at America's borders. Universities and research institutions around the world wanted to join. Soon, electronic mail linked scientists in Germany, France, Japan, Australia, Israel, Sweden, Finland, South Korea, and the United Kingdom. For the first time in history, researchers could collaborate almost instantly across continents. Knowledge no longer depended on geography. Ideas could travel faster than airplanes. This international cooperation became one of the internet's greatest strengths. It wasn't built by one country. It wasn't created by one company. And it certainly wasn't the work of one inventor. The internet grew because thousands of engineers, researchers, universities, and governments shared one vision: connect people through information. By the early 1980s, the internet had grown far beyond its military origins. Universities were joining. International connections were expanding. Email had become a revolutionary communication tool. But there was still one major problem. The internet remained incredibly difficult to use. There were no websites, no browsers, no images, only lines of text on black computer screens. Everything was about to change. We saw how the internet evolved from a military experiment into a growing international network. Universities joined. Scientists across the world began collaborating. and email became the internet's first revolutionary application. But despite all this progress, there was one huge problem. The internet was still incredibly difficult to use. There were no websites, no Google, no YouTube, no Facebook, no online shopping, no pictures. Just black screens filled with confusing commands. Only trained computer experts knew how to navigate it. If the internet was ever going to reach ordinary people, it needed something completely new. And that breakthrough would come from a physics laboratory in Switzerland. In the late 1980s, thousands of scientists from around the world worked at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research in Geneva. Researchers came from different countries. They used different computers, different operating systems, and different ways of storing information. Finding research documents was frustrating. Important files were scattered across multiple computers. Some documents were impossible to locate. Others could only be opened on specific machines. Scientists were spending far too much time searching for information instead of making discoveries. One British software engineer believed there had to be a better way. His name was Tim Berners-Lee. Instead of asking how computers could communicate, he asked something much more powerful. How can people easily find and share information? That simple question would change the world forever. Tim Berners-Lee imagined a giant digital library. Instead of storing information in books, it would exist on computers. Instead of turning pages, people could click links. Instead of searching through filing cabinets, information could be connected instantly. His idea became known as the World Wide Web. Many people confuse the internet with the World Wide Web. But they're not the same thing. Think of the internet as a worldwide system of roads. The World Wide Web is one of the vehicles that travels on those roads. Without roads, cars can't move. Without the internet, the web couldn't exist. To bring his vision to life, Berners-Lee invented several technologies that we still use today. He helped create HTML, or hypertext markup language. HTML became the language used to build web pages. He also introduced the idea of hyperlinks. Instead of reading information in a fixed order, users could simply click on highlighted text and instantly jump to another document. Today, we click links without thinking. Back then, it felt like magic. For the first time, information around the world could be connected into one giant web of knowledge. Before the web, using the internet required technical knowledge. Commands had to be typed perfectly. Mistakes were common. There were no pictures. Very few ordinary people had any interest in using it. The World Wide Web changed all of that. Suddenly, documents contained text, images, and eventually audio and video. Instead of memorizing complicated commands, people could simply point and click. The internet became visual, friendly, accessible. Businesses immediately saw new opportunities. Universities found better ways to share knowledge. Governments began publishing public information online. Ordinary families started exploring the digital world for the very first time. What began as a tool for physicists quickly became something much bigger. Berners-Lee's goal wasn't to create the next billion-dollar company. He wanted to make knowledge available to everyone. His vision was an internet where information could flow freely across borders, connecting people regardless of where they lived. Even with the World Wide Web, one challenge remained. Most people still couldn't access the internet easily. Home computers were becoming more common during the 1980s. But internet access was limited. Then, during the early 1990s, everything changed. CERN made its web software available to the public. At the same time, personal computers became affordable for millions of households. The timing couldn't have been better. People finally had both the hardware and the software needed to explore the web. Businesses rushed online. New websites appeared almost every day. Internet service providers expanded rapidly. The web spread across the globe faster than anyone had imagined. Governments couldn't fully control it. Companies couldn't own it. Millions of ordinary users became creators instead of just consumers. Every new website added another piece to the world's largest collection of knowledge. The internet was no longer a government experiment. It had become a global movement. Think about your daily routine. You probably check your phone within minutes of waking up. You send messages. Watch videos. Use maps. Shop online. Read the news. Listen to music. Attend virtual meetings. Maybe you're even watching this video because of the internet. Almost every part of modern life depends on technologies that began with a few connected research computers over 50 years ago. What's even more remarkable is that the internet continues to evolve. Cloud computing, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, smart homes, self-driving cars. These innovations all build upon the same foundation created by the internet's early pioneers. Their work didn't just connect computers. It connected humanity. The internet's journey from a military experiment to a global communication platform is one of the greatest success stories in technological history. But perhaps the most inspiring lesson isn't about computers at all. It's about collaboration. So far, we've discovered how room-sized computers evolved into connected networks. How ARPANET laid the foundation for global communication. How TCP/IP gave computers a common language. And how Tim Berners-Lee's World Wide Web transformed the internet into something anyone could use. But perhaps the biggest surprise is this. The internet wasn't invented by one person. It wasn't built overnight. And it wasn't the result of one brilliant idea. Instead, it became the greatest collaboration project the world has ever seen. When people ask, who invented the internet? They're asking the wrong question. A better question is, who helped build the internet? Because the honest answer is, thousands of people. Lawrence Roberts helped launch ARPANET. Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn developed the internet protocols. Lawrence Landweber and many university researchers expanded networking through CSNET. Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web. Engineers designed routers. Scientists improved communication protocols. Governments funded research. Universities tested new ideas. Private companies built better hardware. Millions of users contributed websites, software, and knowledge. The internet didn't appear because one person had a perfect plan. It evolved because thousands of people solved thousands of small problems over several decades. This is one of the book's most important lessons. Great innovations rarely happen in isolation. They happen when people build upon each other's ideas. History is full of technologies that disappeared. So why did the internet survive while so many others failed? One reason stands above all others. It remained open. No single company owned it. No single government completely controlled it. Its standards were shared. Its protocols could be adopted by anyone. That openness encouraged innovation. Imagine if only one company had been allowed to create websites. Or only one manufacturer had been allowed to build computers connected to the internet. The digital world would look completely different today. Instead, students, researchers, entrepreneurs, and developers from every corner of the world could contribute. That diversity became the internet's greatest strength. The history of the internet proves that collaboration often beats competition. When knowledge is shared, innovation accelerates. Think about how many industries have been transformed. Communication. Instead of waiting weeks for a letter, you can send a message in seconds. Education. Anyone with an internet connection can access lectures from leading universities. Business. A small company can sell products to customers across the world. Healthcare. Doctors can consult specialists on different continents. Entertainment. Movies, music, books, and games are available instantly. Banking. Millions of financial transactions happen every minute without people visiting a branch. Artificial intelligence. Modern AI systems learn from enormous amounts of information made available through the internet. Even the way we work has changed. Remote jobs, cloud computing, video conferences, global teams. These have become normal because of a network that began as a military research experiment decades ago. The internet didn't simply improve existing industries. It created entirely new ones. Companies like Google, Amazon, Netflix, Meta, and countless startups exist because the internet made them possible. Today, millions of people earn a living online, something almost unimaginable just a few decades ago. Like every powerful invention, the internet has two sides. It connects people, but it can also spread misinformation. It provides unlimited knowledge, but it also creates endless distractions. It offers incredible opportunities, but it introduces new cybersecurity threats. Technology itself is neutral. It's the way people use it that determines whether it improves or harms society. The same network that helps a student learn programming can also be used by cybercriminals. The same platform that connects families across continents can also spread false information within minutes. The internet is one of humanity's greatest tools. And with great tools comes great responsibility. This book isn't only about technology. It's about innovation, persistence, and teamwork. The pioneers behind the internet faced enormous obstacles. Limited funding, slow computers, frequent technical failures, skepticism. Many people believed their ideas would never work, but they kept experimenting. They improved one problem at a time, and little by little, they built something that transformed civilization. That's an important lesson for all of us. You don't have to change the world overnight. You only need to solve one meaningful problem today. Small improvements, repeated consistently, can create extraordinary results. The internet itself is proof of that idea. Next time you open your favorite app, watch a YouTube video, send an email, or search for information online, take a moment to remember the incredible journey behind that simple click. What seems effortless today required decades of research, thousands of brilliant minds, international cooperation, and countless experiments. The internet wasn't inevitable. It was built by people who believed communication could be better, who believed knowledge should travel farther, who believed technology could bring humanity closer together. And because of their vision, the modern world became possible. If you enjoyed learning the incredible history behind one of humanity's greatest inventions, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Knowledge Power for more book summaries about technology, innovation, business, psychology, artificial intelligence, and the ideas that shape our world. Every week, we simplify the world's best books so you can learn faster, think smarter, and stay ahead in a rapidly changing world. Now we'd love to hear from you. What do you think has been the internet's greatest contribution to humanity? Is it communication? Education? Business? Artificial intelligence? Or something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Until next time.